Greetings, community, and welcome to NCBD Comics and another edition of Kevin's most anticipated reads tomorrow for New Comic Book Day, 8/20/2025. Here we are once again, and it's great to be alive. I want to take a moment and say to those of you that cruise on through on the rewind, thank you. I appreciate you, and without you, it'd only be half as much fun as it actually is. And, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Starting off with Marvel Studios. Their comic book line is going to give us a little bit of a list today. We have total, I think, 17 books to talk about. So let's get into an all-new Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, issue number 1. We just finished issue number 15 of the last series. That whole series I wasn't even trying to pick up at all because I'm trying to knock down my reading a little bit. It's getting a little extensive, I should say. And if nothing else, I just want to be able to properly absorb each and every story. And sometimes because of the length of titles that I have to get through at times, well, it just seems much. So I was not trying to not only pick up last series, but this series I was also trying not to do. That all stated, that went right out the window. The last the last volume ended with Gwen Stacy ended up picking up a whole new symbiote suit, in the sense of her old symbiote suit kind of went away. The way her new suit works is not necessarily symbiotic, but it's like regaining her old powers back. It's a weird situation. My point being is that we not only end up starting on a new volume, a new suit, a new Spider-Gwen, but we end up with essentially with a new villain. Not everything I just kind of stated previous kind of gives you and alludes to the villain that we're going to end up seeing in this new issue. I am looking forward to not only getting back into the series because, damn it, Phillips tends to do a really good job writing, and I have difficulties not picking up her works because of how well her writing is. And in the case of this, damn, it's kind of seamlessly went from 15 to 1. It's not like it just kind of continues on its legacy type situation, where it's not only seemingly seamless, but it's evolving in the storyline. It's getting better. It's difficult to go ahead and jump ship from this title. So here we are once again with me saying, back on one of my most anticipated reads. All new Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, issue number 1, coming out on 8/20/2025. Let's move on from that. Talk about Black Cat, issue number 1. Hero? Well, she was not necessarily a villain in the past few issues that we've been seeing of her. She's more been of a capitalist in the sense of her thieving when it finds opportune times to go ahead and decide that she's going to go ahead and be a thief, villain. She does. But more times than not, in the past few years, I want to say about 5, we're actually seeing her being almost an anti-villain. So here we are, her taking on a new mantle of hero. I'm anxious to see, and I'm curious just like you. That's why I'm going to pick up Black Cat, issue number 1, coming out on 8/20/2025. Let's move on from Let's move out from Black Cat, issue number 1, and talk about Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 10. Joe Kelly's doing just an immensely awesome job. I guess really the team that between Kelly and Ramita is just working out so well that this series, in my opinion, is not only doing really well as far as how and pacing the series has been going, but I've yet to hear from anyone that the story is bad. It's been enjoyable. It's been fun. I'm loving the fact that it seems like there's only 2 issues coming out, so it seems like it's bi-weekly. I'm digging that because sometimes with 3 issues coming out 1 month and as many as even 4 another, that got to be difficult to keep up with in the past. Being that it's been essentially not only 2 issues, but 2 enjoyable issues every month. I really been digging it. I can't wait to get my hands on issue number 10. It's on that top 5, make my top 5 list, but it didn't quite make my blue light special. Let's move out from Amazing Spider-Man issue number 10, and let's talk about Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe, issue number 2. Now, what we're getting right here is essentially a further involvement in Godzilla's presence in the Marvel universe, essentially. We're going to go ahead and get some issues here and there, but really, Godzilla is making a stay here in Marvel, and we're getting this new Zillaverse, how it's being integrated into the regular Marvel universe. I'm digging it. I'm loving it. I'm not normally in the team stuff, but how all these characters have come together to initially fight Zilla and then see what everything's going on as we normally do, and then finding a whole new objective that we can go ahead and work together. I did these kind of stories, especially when it deals with Godzilla. I'm a massive fan of Godzilla. So here we are, issue number 2 of Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Again, number 4 of the top 5. Moving on from that, let's talk about Spider-Girl, issue number 3. I have to admit, I only flipped through issue number 2. It's kind of sitting back there. Anyways, and I love the way issue number 1 did an introduction, and being that we don't get anything more from Dan Slott on Spider-Boy because he's pretty busy nowadays, especially cruising over to DC, that issue number 20 of Spider-Boy was done, and now we have a successful story coming out of the Spider-Boy series with a new Spider-Girl. I really dig this character. I really like one, I guess it's because of the all-age approach with some of these characters. And 2, I also like characters that, to me, seem like they're going to be the next-gen characters. So this, to me, fits the bill and checks both marks. And I really dig how this character has been presented in the Marvel Universe. I like Spider-Girl. I don't know if you know much about her, especially since she's a recent introduction of this version of this character. But I do recommend it. It is easy to get into. And if you are into all-age style series of the Marvel Universe and still Spider related, highly recommend Spider-Girl. And we're only issue number 3 coming out on 8/20/2025. Let's move off from Spider-Girl and cruise to the last Marvel title, which is Venom, Black, White, and Blood, issue number 1. What I like about these type of stories is that they give us more than one story within each issue. More times than not, we get, which is in the case with this one, 3 stories, and I really enjoy these type of formats. It does allow individuals to not have to write necessarily within heavily of the confines that tend to be with the certain characters, but as much as they're allowed to experiment a little bit with these characters and these storylines, because they don't necessarily have to tie directly into the Marvel Universe as we know it. They could be what ifs, they could be in different places and all this other stuff. I dig that. I really do, because it does allow writers to go ahead and freely express their interpretations of some of these stories and or characters in certain stories that they would like them to be in. I dig that. It's kind of cool. So Venom, Black, White, and Blood starts off the series of issue number 1 on 8/20/2025. Let's cruise out from Marvel and cruise over to Dynamite. They're going to start and only give one title, which is, for me to read, Space Ghost / Johnny Quest, The Space Quest, issue number 5. I'm not, let me start over. I am reading Quest. I am reading Ghost. I'm loving Ghost. I'm enjoying Quest. I never thought this crossover would ever happen. The way it introduced itself, I was like, okay. The first 2 issues, I was like, I not only get how you doing this and what it is, but the fact that you're going ahead and wrapping in science and technology, I'm in. You really hit me hard with all this sciencey stuff. And even though it's so far-fetched and there's like, are you kidding me? It's kind of cool. I really dig it. I'm really liking how Space Ghost and Johnny Quest are interacting. And, I'm a sucker for animals. So when we got Bandit over hanging out here, and then we got Bleep that's over there, I'm digging it. If you do like crossovers like me, I'm a sucker for crossovers. And if you already know somewhat a little bit about these characters and or you watch the cartoons, you're already pre-existingly buying the Space Ghost, I highly recommend the series. You're definitely going to enjoy it. And it's just so much fun. There's a little bit of science. There's a little bit of jest. There's a whole lot of fun in this thing and a whole lot of quest. So I'm just saying that if you're into these style stories where there's nothing but adventure and definitely all ages, Space Quest is definitely for you. We're only hitting on issue number 4 tomorrow. If you're not already picking up the first 3, I highly recommend pick up the whole series or wait and pick up the trade. That's Space Quest. Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, issue number 4, coming out on 8/20/2025. Yo, bro, how's it go? Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you being here. Seriously. All right, let's move out from the Dynamite and talk about IDW. IDW is going to start us off with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutination issue number 9. Now, this concludes the whole TMNT Mutination series. I was trying to jump out a little bit ago. The first like 4 or 5 issues, which is amazing. It helped build the present universe that we're now pre-existingly telling the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle storyline in, and it gave us a broad understanding of what's within this, even though we're not talking directly about some of the instances that are happening and surrounding the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle primary storyline. We're getting what's happening around them and understanding how this is affecting the main storyline in this gigantic world. That's what, in my opinion, what this TMNT mutination has been doing. Also giving us a better understanding of some other surrounding characters that we've yet to necessarily meet or actually integrate into the regular storylines, which I'm looking forward that's going to happen. So TMNT Mutination issue number 9. This is its conclusion, and I have to admit, when I ended up finding out issue number 9 was coming out, I buy issue number 6. That's not only one of the reasons why I ended up picking up 7 and 8, but I was really starting to appreciate what really was trying to be told in the first few issues, meaning 6, that I ended up reading at that time, and then made me look forward to the next 3, understanding that it was finalizing and what its overall job was trying to do. Moving out to the TMNT Mutination number 9 and its conclusion coming out tomorrow. And let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Journeys issue number 1. Now, this is essentially a reprint that was done from way back day when Laird ended up jumping in the group to go ahead and do some TMNT titles. I want to say that was around 98 or something like that. That stated. The cool thing is this is a reprint, to my knowledge, never been done before. So here we are getting it finally on 8/20/2025. That's TMNT Journeys issue number 1. Let's cruise out from IDW and cruise over to Boom. They're going to give us one title that I'm looking for quite some time. And what I mean by that is when I end up finding out that Grimm, issue number 24, was going to be the second to the last series, and that Grimm is going to end at issue number 25, it did not bring much joy to my heart. Now, as I may mention that I am trying to shed some of these titles, but Grimm has been an ongoing series that I've been enjoying, and here we are, 3+ years deep, I think, into the series, even though we're at issue number 24. Oh, man, it seems like such an extensive journey that brought us to appreciate not only life as obvious, but even death and its over and underestimated obligations. We just think of the harm and the detriment that we have and its loss, but we don't also think about the plus side of what death brings. Cool thing is about Grimm is it does appreciate and understand, and its approach to have an understanding of what it really means to be live, dead, or even holding the title of death itself when you talk about the Grim Reaper. I've really been enjoying this series, and Stephanie Phillips has really been giving a series that is really, in my opinion, again, underappreciated when it comes to its delivery on its message. Now, I did read and I did hear when Stephanie was at San Diego Comic-Con that this is the end of the series, but in its comic form. So I only hope that really what she was alluding to is we're going to get some type of adaptation. I'd love to see this on a big screen or a Netflix or anything like that. But until that time, I'm going to enjoy what I can from Grimm by getting issue number 24 tomorrow. And roughly 4 weeks from now, the final issue of Grimm, issue number 25. But here we are. Still yet to read issue number 24. I got to 23 just the other day. Man, this series is so good. I really dig it. Again, starting over, Boom Studios, Grimm, issue number 24, coming out 8/20/2025. Let's cruise out from Boom and cruise over to Image. They're going to go ahead and give us our last few books. Starting off with Escape, issue number 1. Rick Remender is not only doing immense work as far as the structure and heart that he puts into the titles and what's that he writes, but he's been really focusing a lot on himself and understanding really what he's trying to get not only out of his writing, but himself as far as out of life and everything. I know I'm getting a little introspective, but what my point is what I've been seeing from him, reading from him, on a personal level seems to directly affect what we're getting from them on a professional level. Here we are getting Escape issue number 1 from Rick Remender, a story about, I believe, a pilot, a war fighting pilot, I believe thrown back in some time period. I want to say World War II, might be Korean, somewhere around that time era of 40s all the way up to the later 50s. And he goes down and he has to fight his way out, and with the help of a grieving family. That is a mix, not only of this war, but is in direct, I should say, having direct result, meaning something that happens to them. I do know a little bit about it, and I don't want to, tell you too much, but this is a story of a lot of heart. It took a little bit from my understanding to write this thing, and you can see as it's being presented that it's a story of a soldier that requires the help of a family, as I'm taking it back, to get him not only home safe, but hopefully aid the safety to those of which that gave him aid. This is seemingly a really heartfelt story. I can't wait to get into this. I want to say this is probably about my number 3 of my top 5 that I've been wanting to read, and I can't wait to get into it. I did get the Ash Can, and I did flip through it, but I purposely did not read the storyline. The art's awesome, and I can't wait, like I said, to really immerse myself in this story. I'm hoping to end up seeing Rick, being that I have to work tomorrow, not tomorrow, but this Sunday. I haven't signed my copy, and hopefully further have greater discussions into the depth of the storyline of this series. Looking forward to it. Start off on 8/20/2025. This Escape, issue number 1, coming from Image Studios. Let's cruise out from Escape and talk about Department of Truth, issue number 33. Damn, the series is getting awesome, and there's a lot of twists, a lot of turns. Basically, a story about if your manifestations could come true, if you and enough people believe in them well enough to go ahead and make that manifestation come real, is not only horrific in its idealism, but it's also something that we've almost seen to come true as far as certain things happen only of recently. Don't want to delve into too much of that. My point being is what we're seeing in the Department of Truth. There's a little bit too much truth. And I've really been enjoying this series so far. Tynion has really been keeping busy with a lot of the works that he's been doing of late. This is one of those series that it was initially kind of baited out there as something that was being looked at by many studios, to my understanding. That kind of is still true. I've yet to hear of any development of the storyline, but that's not to say that it won't. Being that they gave the go ahead on something that's killing the children to all the way to issue number 100, leads me to believe that they're looking for enough plot and storyline that when they end up going to do that series, is a series on like a Netflix type thing, that they want enough material to do it. So I'm also led to believe, being that Department of Truth, and here we are with issue number 33, essentially they're doing the same thing. I only hope. I've really been digging the series, and I can't wait to get my grimy little hands on issue number 33. As I said before, we're getting twists, we're getting turns, and this is not where I thought we were going to be at, almost in essentially a present day situation in the White House, and I did not expect the person to turn around who I did see in the last issue. That just freaked me out. Just saying. This story invokes a lot of emotion and a lot of fear, a lot of hatred, a lot of everything. Politically, socially, everything is there. I can't wait to get my hands on 33, and I highly recommend the series if you're not reading it. Department of Truth, issue number 33, coming out tomorrow. Speaking of another Titan story, let's talk about Exquisite Corpses, issue number 4. This would have been my most anticipated series coming out tomorrow. However, the reason why it failed in doing so, how you doing, Christina? Appreciate you hanging out and dancing with me, is because the polybag version doesn't come out tomorrow. For those of you that have been getting the polybag version like me and getting the neat little cards, which I have here somewhere with my cards. Check that out. Look what I got. I've been getting these cards, and look what I got. I got a shiny one. Yeah, I pulled a 1 in 10. I got lucky. Got a chase. Just saying. So I'm not only reading the series, but exclusively I've been getting these cover C's. So the cover C is not coming out, polybag version, tomorrow. Unfortunately, the regular versions will be out. If you're dying to read the story, it's there. But if you're dying to read the story and you're dying to get the card and the two have to meet, well, that ain't going to happen tomorrow, unfortunately, for most. Didn't happen for me. So I have to wait. It would have been my most anticipated read if it actually came out, but it didn't. So I'm just saying. I don't make up the rules. I just try to break them. So anyways, Exquisite Corpses, issue number 4, coming out coming out on 8/20/2025. Let's move on from that and talk about G.I. Joe, issue number 10. Just read Transformers, Void Rivals, and G.I. Joe last night. I think I am totally looking forward to this, but there's no way I will read just a single issue anymore. I will wait for all 3 issues to come out. They tell you on the back how to read all 3 in their successive order. I'm purely sticking with the chronological storyline from here on in. It reads so much better, and if you're not reading all 3, you are definitely losing out. And in my opinion, by this time, because these things are starting to really overlap, and by reading in the, how should I say, suggested reading order on the back of the books, it does come across really well. It does. I mean, it's. The story's just getting good. I just don't know how to put it any other way. It would also made my most anticipated read if it wasn't for the fact that I don't have the other 2 books. And then I would have been probably juggling to see which one was going to be my most anticipated read. Just saying. Yo. Ben, how you do? Just saying. Hope you're doing well. And that's the only reason why it didn't make my most anticipated read. So I am looking forward to G.I. Joe. This series is so awesome, especially when you tie it in with the Void Rivals and you tie it in with Transformers. It is just an amazing read, but it is now an all-encompassing one. I'm just stating. So moving out from G.I. Joe, issue number 10 coming out in 8/20/2025. Let's talk about the Seasons. Issue number 7. This is another Rick Remender book. As I stated before, he's not only addressing a lot of things in his own personal life, but he's been able to address it in a way that he's been able to get so much more work done. So here's the title. That's issue number 7. We are now entering a new arc of the series, but he's not only coming out with a new arc of this series and starting an arc of a whole nother series in the beginning of that miniseries, but he's also continuing on another series that, if I recall, that he's also working on. The cool thing about what's happening with Rick right now is he's getting so productive, but not in a way that where he's just throwing stuff on the wall and says, hey, I hope you enjoy it or not. I don't really care. No, you could tell he's putting a lot of his heart and soul into these books, and they're all coming across real well. Between Grommets was just an amazing hit, and it really spoke to me personally, especially how it came across. And you can see it was someone that also lived in that era, Rick. But it really spoke to me, and it spoke to those in which that live in that era, in my opinion. But he's also writing things as Escape, which is coming out tomorrow. And in the case of what I'm talking about, The Seasons, which is essentially a fantasy storyline about a sister that's trying to solve a mystery, not only where her 2 sisters have now disappeared to, but her parents as well, and protect her other sister from disappearing as well from this weird carnival thing going on. It is almost, hopefully not a murder, but a mystery altogether. And being that these are detectives on a magical side, some regard, that they come from a family line of detectives, that it's somewhat inherent for her to go ahead and not only solve this problem, but to eliminate it. So I'm so enjoying this series. It took me about 2 issues to really kind of get the feel of it. But yeah, I'm not only really enjoying it, but I'm really enjoying essentially everything that Rick is doing now. However, that stated, it didn't quite make my Blue Light Special. What did this week? Wow, I just got to reading issue number 7, but it is Hyde Street, issue number 8. This series is amazing. And in issue number 7, we end up seeing a side of Pranky that we never saw before. I mean, a deep understanding of where his trauma came from and why he acts so angsty. It is not just something of a kid just acting out as a kid that got really, really hurt. And as we see in issue number 7, we're now having a better understanding of where that hurt came from and why this kid is acting out the way he does and why he doesn't want to leave where he does, where he's at. Anyways, issue number 8, I can't wait to get into, and I've been getting all these 1 in 20s. They're the cereal boxes that Pranky enjoys eating from every morning when he has his, well, not very balanced morning meal. I really love these covers. I really been enjoying this series. It does invoke a lot of introspection. It does now, as you see, talk about a lot of things to heart and talk about a lot of trauma. It's not something for just everyone. At the same point, it is on the lines of like a Twilight Zone or Tales of the Dark. It does hit at times with storylines that are very heavy, and it's not for, like I said, everyone. But at the same point, it's most enjoyable for most readers because it does take you on a journey that is not necessarily pathed. And I really been enjoying it because it's giving a formulation of an overall idea of a world, the Ghost Machine, universe, that you may not want to, necessarily visit. And with storylines like this, it proves its point and it drives it well home. At the same point, it's hard not to want to visit these things when it comes to its reading because it's written so well and depicted so well. It's hard to put something like this down. That's why it was my blue light special. And to those of you that cruise on through, I appreciate you, Ben, Christina. I appreciate everything that you have been doing, and reach out, and I'll look at that in a little bit. And dude, Canadian, appreciate you being here. And first, all of you that cruise on through on the rewind, I also greatly appreciate you. And that's it for me, Entropy. You stay well. Until next time, take care.